For 13 years, my wife's family called me a charity case. So I smiled, stayed silent, then unzipped my bag at dinner and left every one of them speechless. I 35M, grew up poor. Not just the can't afford Netflix kind of poor. I'm talking about the kind where you eat ramen noodles for weeks straight and try to pretend like it's a choice. The kind where you learn to repair your own shoes with duct tape. My dad walked out when I was a kid, and my mom did what she could working double shifts, but most nights we were just scraping by. When I met Patricia, my wife, I was 22 and working 2 jobs just to afford my tiny one-room apartment. She was in grad school. Her family was what you'd call upper middle class. Her dad was a corporate lawyer, her mom owned a small boutique, and her siblings all went to private schools. From the very beginning, I knew I wasn't what they expected for her. Her family treated me like I was temporary, like I was a passing phase. Her mom used to call me the handy one, like I was the family pet who could fix a leaky faucet. Her dad barely acknowledged me at dinners. Her older brother once told me, straight to my face, that Patricia could do better. But she chose me anyway. She loved me anyway. That was all that mattered to me. For 13 years, I swallowed their comments. I sat through their holidays, their gatherings, their backhanded compliments. I watched them whisper when I walked into the room. I never raised my voice, never snapped back. I just smiled, and I worked, quietly, relentlessly. The truth is, I didn't want their approval. Not really, but I wanted them to respect me, or at least, respect the way I loved Patricia. Every year, I'd sit there in their big dining room, listening to their trips to Italy, their investment tips, their comments about people who work with their hands. And I'd think to myself, keep going. Build quietly. One day, let your work do the talking. I never asked for help. Not a dime. Even when money was tight, I picked up extra hours. I took online courses in between shifts, taught myself basic business skills, learned to code, learned sales, learned how to build something that could last. I turned my side job fixing heating systems into a registered business. Then I got a contract with a small apartment complex, then a bigger one, then a commercial building. I hired help. I scaled up. I made mistakes, but I kept learning. Patricia always believed in me. She'd make me coffee at midnight when I worked late. She'd leave notes in my toolbox. She didn't care about the fancy stuff. She cared about the way I treated people, about my drive. But her family? They never changed. Every year at Thanksgiving, her dad would make a comment about how at least she didn't marry for money. Her mom would say, "We're just glad he's loyal." Like I was a dog. By year 10, I had 5 employees and contracts all over the city. I didn't tell them. I didn't post it online. I drove an old truck on purpose when I visited them. Wore the same worn boots. I let them believe I was still just that hardworking kid who got lucky marrying up. They never asked about my business. They never cared to know. Then came Patricia's mom's 60th birthday. A big family dinner at an expensive restaurant. Everyone was invited. Everyone dressed fancy. I showed up with a simple bag, a gift, and a file folder. And I waited through their toasts, their bragging, their little snide remarks about how we should be grateful for hard workers in our lives. I waited until everyone was done talking. Then I stood up, looked at Patricia, and she nodded. I took out the folder, opened it slowly, and laid it on the table. Her dad looked at it first, then her mom, then her uncle, and one by one, their smiles dropped. Their faces changed, because inside that folder was proof. Proof that I wasn't just a worker. I was the owner, the founder, the CEO. My company had just bought the building they worked in. I was now their landlord. The room went quiet, dead silent. You could hear someone set down a fork on a plate across the table. I didn't say a word. I let them read it, let them sit in it, let them feel it. Then I said calmly, "I know you've all thought I was a charity case, but I built something while you looked down on me, and I've never needed you. Not then, not now." For a long moment, nobody said anything. Not a single word. It was like the air itself had been sucked out of the room. Her mother just stared at the folder like she didn't understand what she was seeing. Her father, that proud, cold lawyer, sat with his mouth slightly open. The first time I'd ever seen him look completely lost. Patricia reached over and gently closed the folder herself, like she knew they had seen enough. Then, slowly, her brother chuckled. A nervous, awkward chuckle. Well, damn. I guess we all misjudged you. He tried to laugh it off, like it was some silly misunderstanding. Like 13 years of condescension could be smoothed over with a joke. But his voice shook. He knew what this meant. They all did. I sat back down, calm, collected. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't gloat. That was never my style. But I made sure they heard me clearly. I never needed any of you to believe in me, I said, my voice low but firm. But I wanted you to respect that I loved your daughter enough to keep showing up even when you made me feel small. I waited 13 years for this moment. Not for revenge. Just for the truth. Her mother tried to speak. Something about how they were just worried for Patricia's future. But Patricia cut her off. Her voice was calm too, but sharper than I'd ever heard it. You didn't worry for me. You just looked down on him. And you didn't even bother to hide it. Her mother's eyes glimmered, but no words came out. Then I did something I'd been waiting years to do. I reached into my bag and pulled out a set of envelopes, each one labeled with a name. I passed them out one by one, her mom, her dad, her brother, her uncle. Inside each was a letter detailing the new lease agreements for the office spaces they operated from. A rent increase. A modest one, but a clear message. Business was business, and they would no longer be getting the friendly, unquestioning treatment they'd grown used to. Her dad looked at his paper like he'd just been slapped. You're raising our rent? He finally said. I looked him in the eye for the first time in years without dropping my gaze. Yes, I said. Market rates. No more discounts for people who never valued the person behind the handshake. He opened his mouth, probably to argue, but Patricia stood up. Don't, she said quietly. You've had 13 years to treat him with basic respect. This dinner was supposed to be for Mom's birthday, but let's be honest. None of you ever celebrated us as a couple. You just tolerated him. And that was when her younger sister, who'd been mostly quiet through the years, spoke up. Honestly, she said, looking around the table. He's the only one here who's ever built something real that shut everyone up all over again. We didn't stay for dessert. Patricia took my hand and we left that fancy restaurant with our heads high. We drove in silence for a while, just letting the night settle in. Then she turned to me and said something I'll never forget. You were never the charity case. You were the backbone. And I'm sorry it took so long for everyone to see it. The next few weeks were strange. Her family kept reaching out. Emails, texts, voicemails saying things like, let's talk. And we didn't mean it like that. But it was too late. Respect can't be backdated. I still see them sometimes. Family events. They're polite now. Overly polite. Her dad shakes my hand just a little too firmly. Her mom always compliments my shirt or my shoes. But the energy has shifted. They know now. They know exactly who I am. And they know I built it all while they mocked me. Sometimes people ask me why I never fought back sooner. Why I let them look down on me for so long. And I just smile. Because some lessons hit harder when they arrive late. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to prove anything with words. I let the work speak for itself. And when the time came, I spoke without raising my voice, and still left them speechless. If you felt that, hit like, subscribe, and share it with someone who's ever been underestimated. You don't have to yell to be heard. Just build quietly, and let your results do the talking.